guys. So, how are you guys feeling today? Isabel, how do you feel about this certain collection
of photos?
Yes.
I mean, I feel the selection MOJOYIN put together really encompasses what my work is about, which is trying to convey the beauty in the Black experience and trying to portray us how I feel like we see ourselves when we're not fetishized, we're made out to be other. And I feel really good about the photos and how they look, so thank you.
Of course. Totally. Okay, so I think the first question I have for all of you guys, I think we can go this way, or how does it feel to be an artist of Nigerian descent, but creating outside of Nigeria? Because I know that none of us are actually based here, but I feel like we're creating a lot of important work where being Nigerian is a major part of the theme of everything that we put out.
Well, I guess since we had the party the other day, that's like the first time I've been in a room where everybody knows what we do. Some of my colleagues at work, my Igbo colleagues, they'll be like, oh, you run a page? I'm like, you guys are not gonna get it. But a lot of them do follow the Nolly Babe space. So I think it's sort of like a labor of love because maybe the people that appreciate it the most aren't necessarily within your vicinity, they're not gonna see you.
Yeah.
But it's nice being removed at the same time because you get a chance to keep your lens sort of objective. So I think there's pros and cons to the fact that we are based in New York, but our content is very Nigerian focused. And it's nice to see that people from other countries outside of Nigeria appreciate, if you go to our comments, you'll see all sorts of people, white people, Asian people commenting. So it's both.
Amazing.
Yeah, I would have to agree with what she said as well. It's nice being removed for sure, but I'm very appreciative of having this community of Nigerians because Nigerians are just creative, not even general creative, but Nigerians are very creative, so it's nice to have that kind of community.
Yeah, I agree with them. And like, even though a lot of the people I photograph, they're still Nigerian, even though they're like in Toronto or New York, like, I still try to find my people where I can. But I do agree that it is good to be removed because it totally changes the way I look at things, it changes the way I create, it changes the way I want to take my photos because I have to find a balance because I'm Nigerian and I want that to kind of reflect through most of the work I make, even though it's like very subtle. I want you to like know that this is for me, but at the same time I like my photos to be placeless too, so like anyone and everyone can imagine themselves in the photo. So like, it's a balance.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't know, for me, I never, or at least with the one project that I have for people to see, I didn't really try to show that I was Nigerian. I think it was just telling a story, and I happened to tell it at home, and so it ended up feeling Nigerian and feel like people could relate to it, I guess because of the location and the people involved, but it's not something that so far I've actively tried to show to my work. I guess I just want to tell stories and just be, I guess, a citizen of the world more so.
Yeah.
I think since I'm in art school, I'm constantly criticized about it all the time because we end up catering to different audiences. So if I'm in Nigeria, like some people might grasp my work better. If I'm in England, then they might not understand what I'm saying. And it always gets mixed up some way. So it's difficult and like catering to different audiences, but then you also don't want to have to shout that you're Nigerian in your work. And then you just want to let it happen sometimes. And like, I get what Isabel says about like placelessness, because I do that as well. And because when you're working in England or like anywhere else, and you're from Nigeria, you become this like cultural hybrid. And it belongs in multiple cultures. So you don't want to like tie yourself to one location sometimes. And just once whatever comes out to come out.
Yeah, for sure. And I know like in particular for you, I know your work is a lot about like the other identity that kind of comes as a result of being not from here but not at home, and like that place in the world amongst other people.
Yeah, I mean, because for me, I work a lot about being foreign now, and how like when you're in Nigeria, you're really identified by being like belonging to a tribe or a religion, but then when you get to England or like the West in general, you become black, and like, you're not black in Nigeria. And it's all about being in a reflected state. So it's all about like noticing and understanding the categories that you're seen as in different spaces.
I feel like a lot of you guys have very like profound understandings of like the way you present. How do you feel it's like translated when other people receive it?
I think with our content, people like receive it in different ways. Like some people it's just humorous. They just find it to be funny. They go there for their laughs, their jokes. But some people do see it as a representation of the beauty in Black women. And so, sorry, could you repeat your question?
How does it feel to kind of like, I mean, like, because I was saying to like the otherness. How do you feel like? I know like it's quite like profound in the way you guys produce your work. But how do you feel that people receive your work?
Okay, so
Do you
yeah,
feel like they really see it in the same way that you
Okay.
put it out?
I think certain people do, certain people in our audiences do, but like I said, for a lot of people it's just like comical relief.
Yeah,
But,
like memes.
yeah, memes, they get made into memes a lot, but we do present in a very specific way where we don't put watermarks on our images, we're very careful about how we place the images in each post. It is like, it's very specific for us. We put a lot of thought into how we express it, but people might not, I mean, a pretty picture is a pretty picture. A beautiful woman is a beautiful woman, so people see that and admire it, but it's about the gaze. The gaze is supposed to be from, like, I was gonna say beautiful women, but like women showing women that are like us, and that's the angle we approach it from, but people receive it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I think people were so used to seeing Nollywood or being presented with Nollywood in like a very comedic state. And like Nollywood was Raz. Everyone was like, we used to get made fun of for like loving Nollywood, you know? But we always saw the beauty in it. So when we started like posting pictures and stuff, we were just doing what we saw was beautiful. There was not really any aim, just what we liked and what we posted. We were never gonna post watermarks because watermarks are ugly. Sorry. And we just wanted to present it in our most authentic way.
Yeah.
basically.
When I make my photos, I like to create my own world. So we are not the other in my world, we are just us. So I don't really feel like, I don't like thinking of us being the other, because that's what a lot of people do. That's what a lot of photographers do when they represent Black people, Black bodies, we're fetishized, we're like, they just stereotypes, like, I don't like that. I like very simple, honest representation of what we are, what we can be. So, yeah, like I create my own world and I put you in my world, and to me, you're just you, you're not the other. So I hope when people see my photos, they don't feel like the people in my photos are the other. I hope when people see my photos, they feel like this person is in Isabel's world.
Yeah.
And they look good.
For sure. Like I was explaining it to some people that I really like your work because I feel like when somebody like SB who's in the back, he doesn't look like a kid trying to be a rapper. He looks like a rapper. He looks like himself. And like everybody else that you put in, they just look like themselves. They look like they're dressing up. They look like they're playing a role. They look like they're being themselves fully. I think it's incredibly beautiful that you're even able to capture that at all. So I think I should actually go on to another question. So what are your themes of your work and how do they manifest? I feel like I kind of, you guys already kind of answered that. Please let me ask something else. Okay, with everything that you said in mind, so how do you feel about the Western gaze when your work is being like consumed? Because I know that a lot of us put our work on the internet and ultimately the publications that also like republish them are like, you know, Dazed, ID, they're so obsessed with Nigerian people and what Nigerian people are doing. How do you feel about them kind of like reposting and like restating your work?
I think so far, the story I've been able to share has been something universal. Again, it wasn't concentrated or focused on being cultural or Nigerian or African. It was just kind of like a love story. It was silent and I used a lot of color and like music that kind of guided you through the story. And so far, everyone who has seen my work I feel has received it similarly. And it really didn't have, I've never pushed it as like, oh, the Nigerian director and this is the film. Just
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Ariana and this is my film. And
Yeah.
I guess has just been received for what it was. A very straightforward love story of like heartbreak, etc. So like, yeah.
I feel like on the other hand, I acknowledge I'm Nigerian a lot because I feel like being in England when people receive my work there is very, they just acknowledge as Black bodies, but then they don't really go further than that.
Yeah.
There's this whole spectrum of like from simple to complex and they don't really acknowledge.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, Black bodies, it's good. I'm like, no, it doesn't mean it's good. So, yeah, it's like, because I'm talking about so much more than just being Black and I don't care about being Black.
Yeah.
So,
I feel that.
yeah, it's more about being Nigerian than anything else. And so it's annoying in England because they don't push further. But in Nigeria, like, I like to leave my works open to interpretation for my friends a lot. So like my friend Lana, she always like sends me these long interpretations of my work, and sometimes she goes so off points. But I still like love it because it's like an ink blot test, and everyone just has their interpretations. So I like leaving it open.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you try to put so much emphasis on the fact that you're Nigerian because you don't want to be acknowledged as Black abroad because of like the disadvantages like they face?
Not all the disadvantages. It's about, there's this quote from one of my tutors where he said that like being called a hybrid or something is just like this cursory acknowledgement. So just like acknowledging that you're different, like just calling you Black. But then if they don't call me Nigerian, it's almost like calling me African. It's like be specific, like know where my work is coming from, know the context. Don't just think it's coming from a Black person, because there's so many Black people with so many different stories, and there's so many Black diasporas. Like being Nigerian is a very specific one, the specific cultural elements that needs acknowledged.
Yeah, true. Totally. Should I repeat the question?
I've been giving it some thought, and I think it's good. I mean, not that the Western gaze is good. I think it helps that we are now the ones creating the story. Like if you want to do a write-up on us, then I'd like to work with a Nigerian person to do the writing part of it.
Yeah.
We are in so much more control because of the internet, because we have access, we can control the narrative this time. Back when they steal from us. They steal a lot of our artistic ideas. Pablo Picasso stole from African artists. Now we're getting a chance to write the story ourselves and show ourselves in the light that we want to show. But I wanted to ask, as a photographer, I feel like a lot of times they're like white photographers that like go to Africa and take pictures. I don't know if that's what
Yeah, no, go on.
But I'm really curious about.
That's what I was saying about like me wanting to create my own world, because like growing up and me deciding that I wanted to be a photographer, the work that was put in front of me most of the time on Tumblr, on Instagram, was work of like Laurie Clark, Pedro Collins, white photographers, and then I just wasn't seeing enough of us, enough of people who looked like me in there. And then even when I did, it would be overdone, or it would be like too exotic, too like, you know, exaggerated, not real. Like that's what a lot of Western photographers do. Like a lot of white photographers, they come back to Africa, any country in Africa, like they just pick one. They go there, they're like, okay, I want to create some art, and they take photos of poor kids, like doing just whatever, and they come and try to sell us our own stories. That's what I don't like. I don't like people trying to sell us our stories. I like the idea of us controlling our narrative, being the ones that decide how our work should be interpreted, how it should be presented.
But to what extent do we really can we really do that, considering like the fact that when our work does go out, for instance, like the boys that were just on ID now, like we don't have a lot of our own media publications. Like how do you feel, how do you think that we should conquer that? Because I feel like everybody has Instagram now, and I feel like Instagram is its own platform. But then I feel like it's not the same as having your own, maybe not an African Vogue, but like our own media that's as equally as important. But yeah.
We need our own. We need our own publications. We need our own art publications. Like we have some, but the ones we have, no offense, they're not really doing much. They're just like so boxed in to one type of like subculture, one type of like entertainment. There's maybe some music. It's all music. They're not trying to look at photography. They're not trying to look at.
They're scared to take risks.
They're scared to take risks.
I
Exactly.
mean, print it's hard to do print these days. Print is a dying industry. So I think as artists, we do the creating. But in order for this to be sustainable, there has to be people like Moj that are going to put things like this together. We need people that are going to be able to fund. It takes money to do these things. We need people that are going to be able to do exhibitions. And I think that's happening more now these days. So it needs an entire infrastructure. It's not just about creating the content and putting it out there. There are certain pieces that need to come into place for it to then be an expansive thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing about so many people going to the arts industry today, because so many people are trying to be artists or the designers themselves, but there's so many gaps between the creating and the markets that there are rules for that.
Yeah.
But no one is going into those roles because
They're not as glamorous.
Yeah, like you can restore art, you can be a curator, you can be a writer, but they don't actually go to those roles. They go for the big fish.
Everybody wants to eat, huh? But no, that's totally true. I mean, like Isabel and I've had a conversation before this, and like we spoke at length about so many things, and about how the fact that we felt like we were at a loss because our media wasn't as strong as it should be, not supporting as many people. Because besides visual artists amongst our peers, we also have people like Santi who do music and video. We have people who are designing clothes. We have people who do so many beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things, and I feel like they're not properly supported by the media. But also, I feel like we were talking about how we might also be at a loss for not necessarily having mentors, because for a lot of us, the older generation is not really engaged with our art or our interests in the way that could be beneficial to our growth. How do you feel about that?
About people not supporting our art?
Not necessarily support, but having mentors or a mentorship relationships in regards to the progress of our art.
And this is, you mean African mentors?
In our community in general.
I feel like with my journey and directing and just making stuff and so far, I haven't had enough mentors. I interned under this director in school, and it was so weird working for someone who's interested in telling 1940 war stories, and all his biggest movies were espionage and nothing I cared about. And you go to meetings and it's I'm the only person of color and I'm the only woman sitting in that room. It's you go to studios as big as Netflix and those meetings, there's no females, there's no people of color, and everything is told from a specific way.
Yeah.
Whereas, there are people, there's black women occupying these roles, but I feel they're not available enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really hard finding a female mentor in film. He was the only person willing to help me because he saw my gaze as unique, being African, black, and female, which is a gaze that isn't heard from often.
Yeah, but then we take up so much of the ratings and the population.
He was literally saying how when they felt white American men couldn't tell good enough stories, they went to other countries before they looked at the other gender. And they're only now realizing that the foreigners or the different stories and the different gays that they're looking for now is in women who are black, etc. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually been lucky enough to have mentors, I think, at every point in my career. Yeah, because for me it was mostly family, because my cousin was an artist when I was younger. So from when I was 10, I used to go to her house and can you see me how to draw? And she would just throw a picture of me and she'd draw whatever. And then she'd be trace that 10 times, then come back to me. And then I would actually do 10 times. I'm okay, give me one next. After she was oh, okay, you're serious, okay, cool. So she kept on mentoring me, and up to today, I still go to her. And even with artists, I go to a couple of artist studios, Victor and Camelo, and Bruce Nobapaya and Inka Shimmer. And they're super nice in visual arts for some reason. You just meet people at galleries and just I'm an art student, I'm a Nigerian art student. I feel there's so few of us that when they find us, they're please come to my studio, let me teach you.
Yeah. So when you do run into them, that tends to be
so nice.
I feel with photography, there's so many Nigerian photographers whose works lived and died in the studios. There's so many great Nigerian photographers that I'm sure I've never heard of. I can probably name off the top of my head maybe just 10 Nigerian photographers. And I know there's so many more, but then the fact that these people didn't have enough access or to put their work out, or maybe they're just not as interested in, maybe they don't see the younger generation is really interested enough to converse with us or exchange ideas with us. But then I do think we're at a big disadvantage because having work to look back to and having references from older artists, it allows you to shape your perspective to today. Because you see how people represent, you see how black bodies were represented 30, 40 years ago, and you can I can tune my mind into whether I feel this is honest or not, whether I feel this is what I'm trying to represent or not. And I like to build off already existing stories. So I like to look back at people who came before me, the stories we told, but then I just don't have enough of that. And it's definitely a disadvantage, but I do enjoy the Nigerian photography that I know of. And I feel if there was more that I was able to, I can maybe visit the studio and go to a space like this and see their work all over. That would be amazing. Because when you go to museums in New York where they show work from archives of white photographers a lot of the time. Even the representation of black bodies most of the time is through the eyes of the white photographers. There's not enough of us telling our own stories, or there's so many of us telling our own stories that just aren't given the opportunity to put it out there.
Yeah.
That's something I feel like we need to change.
I guess with our medium, like I guess a mentor would be someone that guides you on your path, lets you know the mistakes they made, how to avoid those type of things. And with what we're doing, it's more so on Instagram, so we haven't really figured out how we're going to monetize it yet. So we were talking to our father, who I guess is the answer to our question, our dad. Our dad is our mentor because when I first, it's kind of hard explaining to your father what exactly Naughty Babes is.
Yeah.
So we started, I was like, oh Dad, we have a fashion page. And slowly but surely we started talking about what it actually was. And he was like, you have to do this, because my dad actually collects art. He's been, ever since we were little, we've always had a lot of Nigerian art in our house. He's hosted exhibitions in London, he's done a lot of stuff. He has an art book which we brought, but I'll give it to you before we leave, of his collection from one specific artist. So he's our mentor in terms of he guided us to have such a passion for art. And he's also our mentor because I think he's going to help us monetize this shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy about that. So, I mean, again, when I was talking to Isabel, we're talking about how a lot of people are kind of waiting before they decide to do whatever their heart is calling them, their creative pursuits. Do you guys have any advice for people who are waiting to be creative?
I think it's really actually a thing of just doing it. That's the easiest, because if you just say I want to draw this piece, I want to take this photo, get a camera, get some paper. You don't need a camera, use your phone, just start something. And then it's when you start something, if you make a habit of it, then it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a matter of doing it.
I think just do it is number one. You can do it by yourself is number two. Because I think there's so many times I wanted to do stuff and I'm like, but I don't have a team, I don't have a cinematographer, I don't have sound, I don't have this, I can't do it. And it's it took taking classes and having deadlines and realizing if you don't do this shit, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
To get up and just do it by myself and do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you, just do it. Because it's almost 2020 and everyone is doing shit. Everyone is doing something. You might as well. You're not going to lose anything really if you don't. Because the way I started photography, I had a photography page. I had 60 followers and I was posting my work on there. And then eventually I was like, okay, let me try this for real. And I started moving my stuff to my main page. People started liking it, telling me my stuff was good. And that was how I kept on going. You just have to take that risk.
Yeah.
No, I feel I kind of understand when people want to wait. It's scary to put yourself out there, but I feel people who are creative, you're already creative without outside noise. You're creative within your own self. You have your own, what you explore creatively. But when Naughty Babes started, we have 30 followers. Emma followed us, Mojo followed us, and that's how it started. And just explore yourself. You're gonna learn things about yourself every day, and yeah, it's just a journey,
And I think it's important to define what success looks like for you as an artist. If you want to go into whatever medium works for you, if you define what you want that to be in your life, if you want it to be the thing that's financially supporting you, that's a different question than if it's going to be a side passion project that just gives you joy. So I think having the vision and the end goal of what your artist, what that part of your life is going to be, and keeping that in mind, and yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming here and speaking to me and each other and everybody here. It's been a massive treat. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and I hope that you continue to enjoy this exhibition. Okay.